All right, great. Let's get started. So welcome everyone. Just two housekeeping items. You can use the chat for any questions. This is much more of a Q&A style kind of webinar, and we will be accepting questions kind of throughout the way. And registrants also will receive a link to the recording after the event if you want to take a look at some of the demos and walkthroughs for how Alex built out the portal. So on that, I will be your host. My name is Antony. I'm a product manager here at Retool. I've been here for about 4 years, and I work on Retool's enterprise capabilities as well as Retool's external apps capabilities. So helping our customers build products for their customers in Retool. And I'm also here with Alex Tapper, who is also a long tenured employee here at Retool. And he's the head of internal tools at Retool. So Alex builds mission critical applications and software to power Retool internally. This includes software for sales, for engineering, really important tooling to help our customers have a great experience with Retool. And so he'll be walking us through how he built the partner portal for Retool. So a quick announcement as well, Retool External is now generally available. For folks who are new to Retool, Retool is an application development platform that's mainly focused on internal tools since its beginning. So these are kind of operational tools that help customers troubleshoot issues with their customers, write to their systems of record, read from their systems of record, and really help businesses be more efficient. And we've seen kind of over the last couple of years, our customers are building actually customer-facing software like using Retool, and they're doing it in two ways. They're embedding Retool applications inside of their existing web applications, and we have kind of solutions for that with JavaScript and React SDKs. And they're also taking Retool and white labeling it and giving it out to their customers. And so you can imagine, for example, a large real estate company might have a contractor portal or a tenant portal that they would build in Retool and white label it to match their brand and give that out to thousands of different external users, so users outside of their company. And the Retool Partner Portal is exactly that. And so today we'll be talking about how Retool built its partner portal using Retool. And I'll pass it to Alex to give a background on the partner program and sort of what the business objectives of it are.
Thanks, Antony, and thanks for the introduction. Excited to talk through the Retool Partner Program today. First, maybe setting a little bit of context on partnerships at Retool. Partnerships is actually a really small team within our go-to-market motion. It's new as of 2023. The goal for this team is really to drive net new revenue, but through non-direct sales. We have a sales team that's out there talking to customers. They're full-time employees of the company, but the partnerships team is engaging sort of our partnerships ecosystem. So these are different people out there, marketplaces, resellers, ISVs, and partnerships look very different at different companies, different stages. For us, we really wanted to focus on resellers. We noticed some traction sort of in early mid last year, and decided to sort of formalize this motion to engage with resellers and have them basically submit leads throughout their journey as a Retool partner. And maybe they're like an agency building Retool applications for people, and they want to also onboard new customers into Retool for us. So we basically decided that we wanted to build and launch this portal. And here's a screenshot of sort of the main homepage, the dashboard view for partners. We decided to build and launch it within Q3 last year. We looked at a couple vendors for this actually before we decided to build in Retool. None really had the features or polish that we were looking for from a platform. Our head of partnerships also had bad experiences, I think, using some of the other partner portals that existed out there. So he's like, I have this vision for it. I want to build it sort of from scratch. Plus, we're big on dog fooding. I think having the sort of powered by Retool badge in the bottom corner of our portal is really important for us to show, hey, we're using our software. It's reliable for us, and we're using it for business critical applications. Plus, we needed to get it off the ground quickly in a matter of weeks. So Retool was a great choice for that.
Yeah, and on that note, Alex, how did the partner portal actually start, right? So what did it look like to kind of maybe go through a more manual process and actually build out the tooling and the software in Retool?
Yeah, so our partnerships team was basically already sort of manually collecting these leads and referrals from our referral partners starting in mid last year. And we saw this initial traction. We sort of identified this market opportunity to open up channel sales and referrals. And we decided to really focus on this sort of referral partner persona with the portal. And the team was super lean to get started. It was really just me and our head of partnerships. We didn't have like design resources or additional development capacity, but that allowed us to move quickly. So we basically built the first version of the partner portal was essentially just a Retool app with a form for them to submit leads, and I can talk through the development process of that and what the iteration was like as well.
Cool. Yeah. And can you touch on kind of the software stack as well that you use to get started?
Yeah, it's entirely Retool, Retool database, Retool applications to get started. And the initial development process here was was very iterative. We decided we made an intentional decision sort of early in the process to build an MVP entirely in Retool. And we started to use this sort of like Retool external some of the features from the Retool external product line to build this as a sort of a portal. For us, it was important to have a sort of branded experience. Obviously, the partner portal is within the sort of Retool brand. So we did want to retain the Retool branding as customers use the portal product, they are able to remove that branding and put their own. But for us, we actually did like a custom version of the Retool logo to signify the Retool partner portal. And this allowed us to keep it as Retool branded. But in terms of the stack, we used Retool DB to store data on our users, the partners, their companies, the leads they submitted, other relevant information. We used workflows to sort of run some sort of scheduled jobs, and almost as like an API layer between the application and the database. And yeah, we that was the initial MVP. Really was Retool apps and Retool DB.
Got it. And can you give folks an overview just really quickly on Retool DB and Retool workflows, just so they have a sense of what Retool does beyond just app building?
Yeah, Retool DB and workflows were two exciting products that we launched a couple of years ago. And as a longtime Retool employee and Retool application builder, the power of Retool was really started off by helping people build user interfaces really quickly. With our drag and drop builder, our library of components, being able to build and ship these applications with secure user authentication and everything very quickly. However, when we introduced Retool Database and Retool Workflows, it sort of unlocked more of the application development stack for us as builders. And as someone who builds a lot in Retool, this was a huge sort of superpower for me because, for this partner portal, we needed a dedicated database, and I needed to sort of build out, 8 or 10 database tables with a handful of different columns on each to track our partners, the users, the leads they submitted, resources that we offer them, et cetera. So Retool Database allows me to spin up a Postgres database with a great user interface to manage that schema, update the columns, add new tables, et cetera, as needed very quickly. So that's Retool Database. And Retool Workflows is essentially a visual backend tool that allows me to build sort of scheduled and triggered jobs. So for the partner portal specifically, this allows us to sort of securely fetch records from the backend, while also handling sort of like certain data, certain business logic, all in the backend. So these jobs run sort of on the Retool server, not within the sort of like Retool application front end.
Got it. So you really have kind of the full stack here, but you're building, these are developer tools. You're talking about Postgres, you're talking about designing schemas, you're talking about building an API layer, right? These are technical concepts. So it kind of just shows, I guess, that even though this is an MVP, you're still using very developer friendly primitives that keep kind of the whole system secure.
Indeed, yeah. And that was important for us. It's important because these things that start off small end up becoming a lot larger as traction develops and as the sort of motion gets more mature. And today, if you fast forward to today, we have a slightly larger partnerships team with more cooks in the kitchen, right? More developers building out this portal and engaging with it. And so it's important to have those controls in place For example, like we sync all of our application code and our workflow code to GitHub. And in order to make changes using our source control feature, in order to make changes, you have to open up a pull request. And I actually have the main branch protected in that repo so that we have like, new employees that are joining and they want to contribute to the partner portal. But and I want them to sort of be able to contribute, but in a way that requires sort of review on the changes that they're introducing to ensure that it's sort of going to be compatible with everything else that's going on in the portal.
Nice. And shifting gears a little bit, what were big decisions that you kind of made as you went along? Obviously, you're building an MVP. The nice thing about Retool is that you can iterate quickly, but I'm curious kind of what things came, in the middle of the process that kind of caused you to shift course. And
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, one decision we made in the beginning of the process was to use the Retool database as our database layer and our data stack, as opposed to building out corresponding tables in Salesforce with our revenue operations team. Retool has a very mature go-to-market motion for direct sales, but the partnerships motion was very immature, very early in the process. And the sort of like different levels of maturation felt like it would be too difficult to sort of build a robust integration, because we really didn't know what we needed at that point. We didn't know all the different tables and columns we needed to represent the referral process and inviting new partners to the portal and getting them, signed off on our partnership agreement and all these different features that we needed to sort of iterate through. And we didn't know what we needed, and we also didn't know the sequence of when we were going to introduce it. So building it out in Retool DB allowed us to move very quickly and sort of iterate on our own little island, like offshore from the Retool revenue operations mainland. And that was a critical decision for us because it allowed us to iterate and move very quickly and launch the portal within a matter of weeks, as opposed to us needing to sort of wait for our Salesforce administrator and the rest of the folks in the revenue operations team to help sort of like pave a standard path for us within Salesforce, because they have their own roadmap and their own goals and everything like that. So that was actually a key decision for us in the beginning. And we've since sort of begun our integration work now that we have our process more formalized and more, and we're not really iterating on it much anymore. We've now started to replace some of those Retool DB tables with Salesforce object records in Salesforce. We've been partnering with our revenue operations team on building out those pathways. And so the backend now is actually more working in Salesforce than it is in Retool DB. And Retool allowed us to have that sort of flexibility because we have data connectors for both, and it's easy enough to sort of swap out the backend.
Mm-hmm. So the MVP was kind of this simple portal. People can log in, submit leads via form. You're able to work on an island without needing to tie in many different stakeholders into the process. You got it to launch quickly. And now you're sort of going through a process of integrating it back into some of the core data stacks that Retool uses across its revenue operations org. What came after the MVP? So, once you've launched, what did the development process look like, and sort of what changes did you have to make maybe outside of that too?
Yeah. So after the MVP, and we'll when we get to the demo in a couple of minutes here, I'll show some of these pages. But the initial MVP was really just a single page form. So it allowed users to log in. We were sort of manually inviting users during the MVP, like in the Retool settings page. If anyone on the webinar is like a Retool admin and you've gone and manually invited users, you know that like it works, but it's not the most smooth, streamlined process, especially when you're building an external product. You don't need to or want to talk to all of your users. So there's a kind of key distinction there between an internal facing product where it's everyone at your company and you know them all and you maybe see them in the halls or you see them on Slack. But for an external product, these are users that are in other parts of the country or in other countries. So for us building out the beta, one key part was streamlining user invitation process. So what's interesting with the partnerships program is we do have to have our partners sign a legal agreement. It's a partnerships agreement that gives them access to different resources. They sort of agree to the terms of our relationship in terms of referral fees and commission and everything like that. And there's a process by which we sort of have that go through DocuSign and everything. But once they've signed the agreement, then we can invite them to the portal. So the first user always is going to be someone we've talked to and had some sort of engaged encounter with. And we have sort of an admin functionality within the portal to invite that first user and set up the first company. But after that, we want the first partner user to be able to invite their team. It's part of the resources that we offer within the partner program. The partner portal are not just, hey, give us leads, but it's also resources. It's enablement material for them to learn technical concepts within Retool, also to educate them on our co-selling motion as well, to understand when we have sort of updates or we have incentive new information about our incentive program, or just, maybe we work with our marketing team, our brand team, to design a one-pager that helps them introduce Retool to their clientele more easily or with more structure, or talking about new features that we're launching. So in order to access all of that, they need to invite their team to the partner portal. So we built out a page within the partner portal for them to sort of manage and invite their own teammates. So that was like sort of like that came after the MVP, when we were sort of more in beta and we had things more open and more visible. We also introduced the concept of partner enterprise license for Retool, so they can actually request to get a free version of our enterprise version of Retool, so they can, for demonstration purposes. So if they want to show off sort of like the enterprise features, some of which are some of the portal features may be behind sort of the enterprise plan. If they want to demonstrate the power and flexibility of Retool for enterprise customers, they need to be able to access the enterprise plan of Retool. So we have a way for them to access that as well.
Got it. And Alex, can you talk through what it would take to actually build out like that feature, requesting access using Retool? And you're kind of speaking as if, there's a whole team of people behind this. Maybe to give folks a sense of going end to end for something like that, what did it take?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a couple things that it took in terms of building out the application layer for requesting. It's not too complex. We have a Retool database table that tracks the requests. There's a new app or a new page in the portal for requesting licenses, and that page has a form on it that allows the partner to input some information. Right now we only offer this for our cloud-hosted Retool, so they have to input their subdomain. And then on the back end, when we get those requests, it pings us in Slack. It tags one of the partner engagement managers. They will then, it also includes a link to sort of the admin view in the portal. So we have an app every sort of app in the portal has like two views. It has the partner view and then has the admin view. So it takes them to the admin view of the license request. It allows them to sort of view the details of it and then click approve or reject. That sends a notification via email to the partner, letting them know that that their review has been, so that their request has been approved or rejected. And this is actually a similar process that happens with the leads that they submit to. And then there are some more details on the back end that we do need to handle to actually grant that license. So actually worked with the engineering team responsible for our licensing server to figure out, hey, how can we actually grant partners this sort of enterprise, this like free partner enterprise plan on their specific org. So we sort of worked through that on the engineering side, and then built out another Retool application to sort of mark that org as has been granted this sort of plan.
Nice, internal and external. So
yeah,
why don't we dive into what that actual external user experience looks like? I'll let you share your screen.
Sounds good. Alrighty, so this is the staging environment for our partner portal. And once you've logged into the partner portal, this is sort of the first screen you see as a partner. This is the dashboard view, which has a list of the leads that you've submitted. Since this is sort of the primary action that we want our partners to take, basically to generate new top of funnel for us, this is sort of the primary view that they see when they log in. So we have some sort of like high level statistics at the top here about how many leads they've referred, how many have been approved, how many are submitting, and they can also scroll to see sort of like all the historical leads as well. But the main action here is like this form that I mentioned. So it has details on our partner incentive program, what sort of qualifies, and then they can submit the information as well. So they can submit the company information, a lot more information about sort of what plan they're on, if they've done sort of sales activities with our customer. with the customer already. If they're sort of requesting co-sell support, some of these form fields are dynamic as well. So if they are requesting co-sell support, basically like, do they want an account executive at Retool to like join their calls and walk through the sales cycle with them? Or maybe they want a sales engineer. Maybe they need technical consultation from someone like a solutions architect or a sales engineer. They can sort of opt into those as well. And then some information about the use case. And sort of once this has been submitted, we get notified in Slack that this has been submitted, and it takes them, then we go through sort of our approval process. But also as an end user, as a partner, there's a handful of other features that we offer here. So being able to track your leads is a big one here. We also have sort of a call out here, sort of a banner that allows us to sort of promote new materials, new content for our partners as well. The next important aspect of the partner portal is enablement and education. So we've actually embedded a third-party service called WorkRamp, which is a learning management system. So we have a partnerships and enablement team, and they've built out some courses for becoming a better Retool engineer, a better Retool developer, and a better Retool architect. And these courses are sort of embedded into the partner portal and accessible for our partners as sort of a premium feature of being an official Retool partner. This allows them to invite their team and upskill their developers on how to use Retool more effectively in their work. And this is using sort of a newer app building feature that we offer in the app builder, which is expand contents to fit. This is one of my new favorite features about the Retool app builder, but allows you to have the sort of like the parent container, or in this case, an iframe, sort of seamlessly embedded. So you don't even know that you're using sort of a third-party tool here. But you can also make applications full screen, which is just a nice design touch here. Partners can also request access to the partner enterprise version of Retool. This is what I mentioned a little bit earlier. So if they have not made a request, they can sort of make that request here. And we collect some information before we approve or reject those. This allows them to sort of use Retool for demonstration purposes. We also offer a number of resources to train and enable our partners on how to sell Retool better, and also how to teach their customers about new features of Retool. So we offer some links to our existing resources, like our community and our documentation. We also have specific partner enablement. So introductions to Retool, one-pager, more information about our partner incentive program. We deep dive into use cases as well. So we have partners that specialize in certain verticals, and we're continuing to add more and more information here to help enable customers to present Retool in sort of the best light for their customers and their specific use cases. Finally, partners can also invite and manage their existing team members. So typically we have like a partner admin. This is someone who's like maybe the CEO or the director, engineering director at the partnerships organization. And they would be the ones coming in here and sort of adding their team members. And they want to add their team members so they can access those courses and those resources, and maybe also submit leads as well. And that's a demo of the sort of end user view of the partner portal.
Cool. Alex, do you want to continue sharing your screen and just go through the admin experience?
Yeah, of course. That sounds great. So on the admin side, I mentioned that admins sort of have a corresponding page for each of the partner visible pages. So that's in this sort of like admins only section up here. And first off is onboarding new partners. So once we've talked with a partner and they've signed our partnerships agreements, the first step is to onboard them into the portal. And this is the one step in the process that's manual. So adding a partner is pretty straightforward. We add the company details. We also link them to Salesforce by including a Salesforce account ID. We add the PDF of the contract here, the partner agreement. This gets stored in Retool file storage as well, which is another new feature that we've launched recently. And then we also just invite the first user as well. So what that allows us to do is just send that first email invitation to the user to join the portal. Once they get that email invitation, they'll be able to create an account in the portal and invite their team and submit leads as well. Moving on, we have like sort of corresponding pages for each of the others. Maybe I'll show one or two others. The other one that's interesting is the sort of lead referral page. So this allows us to review leads that our partners have submitted, the details about those leads. So maybe like the problem that they're solving, the link that we have automatically created with our Salesforce integration, more details about who's the contact at the company that has been submitted by our partner. And then if it meets the terms of our agreement, we can go in and approve this lead. We can also automatically generate an email that gets sent out to the partner. If it turns out that it doesn't meet the terms of our agreement, then we can reject the lead as well. And we can sort of assign a rejection reason. This is great categorization for us for our metrics as well to understand like why we're rejecting leads. We can also add more details for internal purposes to say like, maybe we want to say like, this lead was already submitted. And then we can also send that email to the partner as well. So they have a record of the lead being approved or rejected in their systems as well. Fun fact, we're also using Retool email service to send these emails too. And then the last sort of the last sort of admin view I wanted to showcase is our stats page. So because all the data is living in Retool DB, it makes it very quick and easy to build out some metrics to track our KPIs. So the metrics might look a little strange here because this is sort of staging data, but it does allow us to track how many leads have been submitted over time, how many partners we've onboarded, and then how many users those are represented by each of those partner companies, and how many courses they've taken in our courses integration. So this is a great way for our partnerships team to report out to the rest of the company and to our staff team about traction that we're seeing within the partner program. And it's great to see this build over time. Last quarter was a record for us in terms of generating new revenue from our partnerships function and our reseller motion here. And we actually achieved greater than 6 figures of revenue generated by our partner ecosystem. So that was a milestone for us to achieve last quarter.
So awesome. So awesome how also not only is this all built in Retool, but this entire ecosystem now of admins, partners, and the leads that they're referring are all kind of in this exact process. And when you're building this application too, you're talking to the same data sources that external users are talking to. So building out internal facing app analytics and tooling is just as easy because all the data connectors, all the resources are all already there inside of the Retool organization, which is really awesome. I want to see if I can share my screen to go talk about, ask you about learnings from building the partner portal.
Sounds good.
What would our, just to kick things off, what would our recommendation be to customers who are kind of starting out and building kind of external applications?
Yeah, now that like external applications are generally available, the first thing I'd say is we have some great documentation. I would definitely recommend that if you're looking to build a portal or embed an application, definitely start there to see what's possible. And I think we have some good examples there too. And I know that Antony, your team has built some great templates for some of the shell around the external pages, like the custom pages for the login page and for the password reset page. So those are great resources to help folks get started. I know our design team helped out with those, and they look top notch. They look so professional. It's amazing to see. The other recommendation I'd have is that these features aren't necessarily all or nothing. You can sort of pick and choose which ones you need. Maybe branding is important for you, so you start using sort of like some of the branding features. But maybe you don't need the same level of automation with workflows and using the Retool API. Like what we didn't need those when we first started, but we did when we scaled later. So as you sort of grow and sort of iterate, adding those layers when you need is a good way to sort of continue to invest deeper into the product that you're building once you see traction. So yeah, I'd definitely recommend starting small, getting some traction, and investing more from there when it proves worthwhile.
Yeah, and obviously, as a huge dog fooder of Retool, both for internal and external use cases, what were some of the learnings that you had, and what product improvements did this lead to? I can definitely answer this question, but I'm curious to get your take.
Yeah. Yeah, we're big on dogfooding at Retool. We have hundreds of applications that we use constantly on a daily basis internally. And as one of the first people testing out the product and pushing it further than just like sort of like demo use cases internally, but actually having something that's production like facing, customer facing and partner facing. There are lots of little things. I think like one thing I remember talking with you about was when we invite users, I wanted to like add some user attributes on the invitation. So we have this great new feature where we can store sort of arbitrary metadata on the user object in Retool. But I wanted to sort of automate that at invitation when the user invite goes out, and not have to go back once they've claimed the invite to go and add those attributes. So I think you added a feature where you can actually like add those attributes in the user invite process and make it transferred to the user object. So you actually have the user invite and the user object separated out, but having those attributes sort of transfer from one to the other was huge for us in terms of like streamlining the user invitation process that I mentioned earlier. The other one that comes to mind for me was, using Retool Actions and the Retool API it was a challenge for me at first, maybe just because these were new features and I didn't have an intuitive understanding of it. I remember running into like little errors that weren't documented in the API, like when for example, a user invite expires and you try to claim it again, or if you try to sign up again when you are like via the API, but there's already a valid user invitation out. Checking the documentation initially, those cases didn't seem to be documented or didn't seem to be handled. So I do remember like pushing you and the team to make sure we have everything documented as possible to make it as self-serve as possible for our users. Yeah, what else did I badger you about adding for the portal features?
I think one, if you weren't able to get everything you needed out of our team when building the partner portal, I don't think we would have been ready for GA. So thank you so much. I would definitely say docs have been really important, but there's also elements that I think we had to think about, as a team supporting a lot of non-power users as well. And so how do we make the overall experience a lot more intuitive? So when you ran into things that were confusing, we had to take it from a much more serious lens, because onboarding now onto the product, folks can just sign up on the business plan and they might not even know what Retool is. So education around the entire platform, I think, has been a huge priority for our team. And so hopefully kind of the onboarding experience within the product makes that a lot clearer. And that's definitely something we're excited to kind of get feedback on and definitely make better. Cool. So maybe we can kind of talk through some of the challenges. So you're talking about some of the processes, kind of the road bumps around, the Retool API and documentation. I'm curious though, what are the things that you didn't realize you needed, but then you kind of got with Retool?
Yeah, I think honing in on the user invitation process, because there's a couple of good examples there. At first, onboarding users was pretty painful. It was entirely manual. Going to the settings page, adding them to the right permission group, adding a record in the Retool database for the partner company, and linking that to the user, sending them sort of a custom welcome email as well, so they understood the purpose of the partner portal. Wrapping their head around signing up for a new Retool instance as well, and trying to make that smooth for them. I literally had like a checklist in a Google Doc. So every time we were inviting a new partner, I would like, okay, did I do all these steps correctly? I was just like asking myself this question, going down my checklist. So that was like necessary at the beginning to do, just as we didn't have the sort of level of scale yet that we do today. But as we started to build traction, this operational overhead slowed us down a lot. Once we had a few dozen partners, we basically decided to automate that with workflows and with the Retool API. So basically what happens today, it's much more streamlined. We still need to sort of talk to that first user and have them sign the agreement. But now we just type in their company name and their email, upload the contract, and Retool basically handles the rest. It creates creates the appropriate records in the Retool database via workflow. It adds the user and the correct metadata as a user attribute on their invite. It sends them also a custom welcome email using the Retool action. So we basically, instead of sending them two emails, one being like the standard boilerplate welcome to Retool invitation, claim your invite, and then the second email was my custom welcome email saying, hey, here's the partner portal. We sort of collapse those down into one message that's like, welcome to the partner portal, click this link to get started. And it's a much more streamlined experience for the partners instead of sort of a jarring like two email experience that's staggered. And then the final piece of that was building out the page to have partner admins manage their own team members. We've had a couple cases where they want to add a bunch of users right off the bat. So before I was like, putting those all into the settings page, going through my checklist, doing that manually for them. And it's sort of a bad experience because it doesn't happen immediately. Like they might send us an email with a list and then I'd get to it the next day or something like that. But now they can do that all themselves from the team page. They just enter the email, it triggers a workflow, adds the invites correctly, gets them associated to the same partner company so they can see their teammates on that page. They can see the leads that they've all submitted. There's actually some unique steps in this process too. For example, like if the users that they're inviting have the same email address domain, we automatically approve them because we can assume that they're sort of part of the same partner company. However, we have some business logic that looks for the email address domain, and if it's different, then we have to actually approve that partner, that invited partner user before they go into the system. So maybe they have like a separate domain, but this is just to like make sure that they're sort of abiding by our agreement. So all this sort of process becomes this sort of intense manual process is all now streamlined and automated through the portal, which makes our lives on the partnerships team, which is quite small, a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Cool. Well, that covers a bulk of presentation today. Thank you so much for your time. And for folks who want to learn more about external applications, please visit retool.com or our documentation. Both should be very up to date and live. We're excited to see you be building in Retool.